My next guest, his name is Rodger, Chef Rodger. Into the studio he comes in, and there he is in the kitchen. Got his chef coat on. Before we talk chef, first of all, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jimmy. I think we're twins today with the Harry Carey glasses on.
You got them on, yeah. You got them on. You look good in yours, and I just, I look like people make fun of my
we gotta
glasses.
do what we gotta do.
You got to do it. All right, I'll talk chef about Rodger Sherry's culinary experiences that's coming up and the food that you're creating for a great cause this Saturday. But before people know you in your chef coat, you have extensive background in the military operations, some things you can talk about, some things you can't talk about. That being said, you gave me an interesting perspective the other day that this fall of Iran is not just about the fall of the Ayatollah. This changes some things in Ukraine. This changes some things for China. All of these activities by President Trump, including Maduro, changes oil supply. It changes drone supply. There's a bigger picture that maybe right now we're not focused on. I wanted you to unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this goes way beyond the borders of the Middle East. I mean, if you look at Ukraine, Russia invading Ukraine was the beginnings of World War III. It changed Russia from a weapons supplier to a weapons consumer. And one of the major weapons suppliers became Iran. And one of the things that Russia's had great success in Ukraine with is the Shahad, which is their drones. Russia's tried to replicate the Shahad domestically in Russia, and they've had terrible success with it. They're basically using lawnmower engines. They fall short. They have very low success rate. So Iran's using all the Shahads themselves right now. So if that flips over and they're no longer able to get the Shahads, that is going to have an impact in the Ukraine. So with oil supply, China's got a couple cheap oil supply routes. One was from Venezuela, which that has shifted, and then Iran, and they were black market oil supply, so they were buying oil cheap. So that is shifting. So China is now going to have to compete in the world market and pay market rates for their oil supply. So this goes way beyond. Also, was propping. Iran was one of the countries that was propping up Cuba. So this is going to have impact right off of our Florida coast. So this goes way beyond the borders of the Middle East. I mean, the Middle East is going to have huge repercussions because Iran's been such a destabilizing force with the Houthis and in Lebanon and Syria and everywhere in between. But with Russia not able to support Iran, this is kind of a window of opportunity to take out Iran, because Iran would get a nuclear weapon. It's a matter of time. So as long as they have the will, which they did, and the only way to take away the will is the leadership. And as long as the leadership is there, they would eventually get it. It's just a matter of time. So the question is, when do you do it? And now seems like a pretty opportune time, with Russia completely consumed and Iran being completely isolated.
I heard Marco Rubio talk about we got to do it now, because if you don't do it, they reach a point of no return where it becomes more dangerous. If once they have a nuclear weapon, they'll use that, and they're reckless people. So he said now is the time, and I think it was him that, and I think you've used the comparison as well, that it's similar to North Korea. Once North Korea crosses a certain threshold, it's harder to stop their nuclear ambitions.
Yeah, once you get the genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. If we rewind the clock to 1994, we were having, North Korea was firing up the Yongbyon nuclear reactor. Jimmy Carter went over and negotiated a peace deal. We gave them light water reactors. We gave them fuel oil. We gave them food, because they were in the middle of a horrible famine where millions of people were starving to death. So we gave them pretty much everything they asked for, and they agreed to suspend their nuclear program. And what they did is they just made it more secretive. But we did not take away their ambition. So we added time to their schedule, but sure enough, they ended up detonating a nuclear weapon. And they were kind of the first of the underworld of the regimes to get it. And so they created the blueprint, and now they're assisting Iran with their nuclear program. They have been. So Iran will get it with the assistance of North Korea. They will get a nuclear weapon. It's just a matter of time. So if we use North Korea as kind of that model, Iran will get it. It's just a matter of time. I mean, we give North Korea everything they ask for. We give them light water reactors. We give them the fuel oil to have all the power and energy they needed. And we give them the food supplies that they needed. Yeah. We give them everything. We were ready to strike. We had strike packages ready to go in 1994. I was a young intel analyst in the military at the time, and North Korea was my expertise. I was watching it firsthand. I was right there off the coast, and we were ready to rock and roll. But we gave peace a chance, and North Korea now has a weapon, and now that option is off the table. With Iran, the option's on the table, so it's a matter of, do we do it now, or do we do it once the genie's out of the bottle?
Yeah. The voice of Chef Rodger Cree, and we're glad to have him join us here, give his expertise, a long-time service in the military and other operations of national security. So good to get his take. Rodger, the reason we originally scheduled this time together is because you and Sherry do such a great event several times a year at your home. It's called Rodger and Sherry's Culinary Experience. Not only are you real smart when it comes to the foreign affairs, but you're also a great cook, let's call it Chef Rodger, and you're hosting one this coming weekend at your home. People buy a ticket, they'll find out the address. We're not going to give that out on the air, but it's a Hometown Heroes Outdoors, a great cause. So let me let you talk about the event. I know you want to talk about some of the foods you're preparing. You got your chef jacket on. It's going to be a big night, private dinner benefiting Hometown Heroes Outdoors. What's happening at your home this week?
Absolutely. So we're cooking a homemade dinner. It's going to be German themed. I'm already cooking. I've got some homemade sauerkraut that's fermenting right now. I've got some that's already made, ready to rock and roll. But Hometown Hero Outdoors is a great organization. They take veterans and first responders and active duty military. They get them outdoors. They take them on hunting, fishing trips, anything outdoors, which is very healing activities. And it's a great organization. So this dinner is the largest fundraiser for the Colorado chapter. So all the money we raise will stay in Colorado. And like I said, this is also for first responders. You know, our home is in Erie, Colorado, and you know our Erie first responders have had a tough couple weeks. You know, we've had they've had a couple of responses with some children this week that have just been horrific, and they need all the help that we can give them. But our dinners this coming Saturday, we had a little bit of a hiccup with our ticket link where we had a arbitrary ticket number set a little bit too low. We've opened that up, so now we have some tickets available. But we're gonna have some real traditional German food. I lived in Germany for a while, and I love the cuisine. I lived in Poland for a while, so it's got some of it has a little bit of Polish influence. But we're gonna have some braised cabbage. We're gonna have some rouladen, which is this delicious top round beef rolled with, it's gonna have some bacon in it and some pickles and just a lot of just deliciousness. We're gonna have some Schweinhaxen, homemade sauerkraut, something called Himmel und Erde, which is it's called heaven and earth, and it's as great as it sounds. It's potatoes and apples, and it's wonderful. We're gonna have homemade desserts, appetizers. It's a lot of fun. We do it right here in our home. There's gonna be a couple fire pits going in the backyard. We'll have some cigar smoking. We'll have some beverages going, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's it's not a rubber chicken dinner by any means. There's a lot of camaraderie. We're gonna have some great silent auction items that we're gonna have, and it's a hoot.
You do these dinners, you and your wife do these dinners. You host them for certain charities, and you guys pay all the expenses. There's all the money when you buy a ticket. It's not paying for the food. You and Rodger and Sherry's Culinary Experience is paid for. The event itself is paid for by you and Sherry, and then people buy a ticket from the organization, and so it all goes to the charity, to the cause. You've hosted a couple of these for Rivers Promise. I know how beneficial they are for the charity. Now we have folks listening all over. If folks if they want to get a ticket, we'll find out. We can pass it on where they can get a ticket and come. Then you'll find out the address to where you live and where the location is this Saturday night. But if folks would like to say participate, maybe just donate to the cause, maybe participate in one of the silent auction. Is there a way that people can participate if they can't make it to Erie, Colorado this Saturday night?
Absolutely. Just look up Hometown Hero Outdoors. They have a great Facebook presence and a web presence. Also, if you're a veteran or first responder, register to go out on one of the events. I've done a couple of butchering classes. They have a huge trophy elk hunt coming up for a veteran. Duck hunts, fly fishing trips, ice fishing trips. So get out and go in the outdoors. But if you want to participate, make a donation, that's always appreciated. They survive on money is what makes this all possible, and it's greatly appreciated. So you can go look up Hometown Hero Outdoors. It's always appreciated. And like I said, our dinners, it's 100% of the money goes straight to the organization. We never touch the money. So 100% of the money raised goes right into their coffers, and they put it to immediate use.
HometownHeroOutdoors.org. You'll find the Colorado chapter, and you can find them on Facebook as well. But if you want to go to the event, the dinner, reach out to the website. They'll have the link to the dinner on the website as well. Correct?
Correct.
Rodger Cree, Rodger and Sherry's Culinary Experience. Rodger, thanks for hopping